Hiya, this is Jason in Jason's Kitchen. Rare event, don't get used to it. Down the plot I've got my blackcurrant bushes and they are just so laden with fruit. But I've still actually got a couple of bags of fruit from last year, so I thought a great way to use them up is to make myself a nice concentrated cordial. You know, like the stuff you buy in the shops. So I made a video yesterday, went through, done all the stuff, or the beginning of the process, with the intent of doing the second half today, and I found I had no sound. So what I've got done is I'll do a sound voiceover for that, do the edited highlights, you know, the executive summary, and then hopefully the voice will be recording here, and I'll do the finishing off today. So off we go. Call me a bit old-fashioned, but I actually like my cordials to be actually pourable. Blackcurrants contain a lot of pectin, and this is what makes jams and jellies set. And the thing is that cordials in jams and jellies have the same ingredients: juice from the currants, sugar, water, lemon juice, and you want to get this thick jelly into something a little bit more pourable like this, which did actually start off as a set jelly from the same batch. To do that, I'm going to use ingredient X. So what is this ingredient X? Well, it's pectinase, an enzyme. This breaks down pectin, which is in the walls, cell walls, and it releases juices, and it destroys the pectin, which is what gels everything together. So you wouldn't want to use this in jams and jellies, but it's great if you're using juices and cordials. The thing is, like, normally recipes have you boil all the ingredients first, but by the time it's cooled down, it's already down the path to jelly, which means it takes longer and you use more enzyme. So I'm using my juicer. This basically throws the pulp out in one bit and the juice out in the other. And the juice was really thick. It's like the kind of thickness that you want in your final product, or close to it. I was actually quite surprised that at the end of this I didn't end up looking like something out of a slasher movie, but I managed to get quite a bit of juice out of it. I had 2 pounds of fruit, and that gave me 3/4 of a pint of juice directly. The pulp looks as if it can still hold quite a fair bit of juice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a glass of water, I'm going to add some pectinase to that, and then I will put this into the fruit and mix it in. Doing this means that the enzyme should be able to break down the pectin that's holding the cell walls together and release a lot more of the fruit juice that's in there. So this will sit overnight, and then we'll come back and see how much juice has actually been extracted from it. I put about 10 drops into the actual juice of the pectinase. This will be left overnight till I get to it tomorrow, and that should break down all the pectin in the juice, which will stop it from gelling. Pectinase is also supposed to help clear off the pith from lemon skins, so you'll end up with just the zest, or if you leave it in long enough you'll end up with nothing. But I've put some pectinase into a glass of water, and I'm adding the lemon skins with the pith on, and I'll leave them overnight and see how well they get dissolved. As a final test, I'm just getting a skewer here, and I am going to add pectinase to that thick gel. Now this it's so thick it actually stands the skewer up in it. So I'm going to use the skewer to break up the gel, create more surface area for the pectinase to work on, and mix it in thoroughly, and then leave that overnight so that it can see how much it'll break that down into a liquid. But you've seen how thick it is. You know, it's got its work cut out with this. So I'm just going to put a few drops in, and we'll see tomorrow how that has worked. Okay, so now it's about 23 hours later. The juice has been soaking with the pectin in it. The pulp has been soaking with pectin in it, and it's time to see what we've got out of that. So first of all, this is the juice. Not going to see much difference in the juice. A little bit of froth on the top. Now it's been let to sit at room temperature, because if you put it in the fridge, that's going to slow the enzyme down. I'll just pour it into here because I need the jug. You can see it's actually pouring quite nice. A little bit of froth, but that'll clean up. And there's quite a decent amount there. Very tasty. I'll just put that to the side. The other thing that I'd done was the pulp. Now the pulp and all the juice extract was quite dry, but I added a glass full of water with the enzyme added to it. Now this, if you look at that, you can see it's just running in juice. So that's helped extract more juice than I originally had. So that's why I need the jug, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back through the juicer, because that'll get all the liquor out. Okay, so that seems to be most of the juice out. Just a few doubles. Oh yeah, that tastes lovely. Okay, so that, let's see, how much is that? It's just over half a pint more. So now I have a pint and a quarter instead of 3/4 of a pint. So I managed to get a lot more liquor, a lot more juice out of it through using the pectinase. Okay, so I'll just get rid of this and I'll come back to you in a second. Okay, so that's 3/4 of a pint, half a pint. That comes up to about 700 millilitres, I think. This is what's left of the pulp. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but if I tip it, it's still dropping more juice. So it could be that you could actually get more. Just put this into a straining bag and, well, let it strain. But I've got enough for now. Now, the recipes that I've seen use between half the weight, of sugar to the fruit to the equal weights. So they might say if you have 1 kilogram of fruit, you have 1 kilogram of sugar. Others would say 1 kilogram for every litre. Some will say half a kilogram for every litre. So it depends on what you want. The role of sugar is as a sweetener and preservative, and also to create the syrup. It binds onto the water, and that's what causes the preservative effect, because all that water is locked up with the sugar and the syrup. Any mold or bacteria can't get the water, so that they need to survive, so they end up not thriving. So the more sugar you have, the longer it lasts. Of course, the more sugar you have, the sweeter it is. The lemon juice you add to it will also help to preserve it, because it drops the acidity down, makes it inhospitable for most bacteria and molds. When you're doing jams, both of these actions is what help the pectin set, because the sugar kicks the pectin away from the water, so it's now free, and then the acidity allows the pectin to form long chains, which is what traps all the moisture, all the juice in the water in between. So we've got rid of the pectin, so we should be able to get it with sugar, reasonably sweet, with the lemon juice, and reduce the water down so it becomes the concentrate. Now, how much sugar should I put in? I don't know, let's see. I think this should be enough. Possibly more than enough. I need, if I've got 700 ml, the max would be 700 grams or 350 grams if I want to go to the lower end. Because I want it to last a while, I may add more, go more to the 700, which is what I used on the last, what we used on the last recipe. I turned it into jelly. So in order to check out if it's worked, I'll use the same amount of sugar, same proportion of sugar, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so here I am with the cooker. I've got my 700ml of juice, 700 grams of sugar, and I have a couple of lemons juiced. Okay, so put this in first. Start the gas. And then I can add sugar. Seems like loads of sugar, but this is apparently the recipe we used before. And add the lemon juice. If it goes wrong, it's down to the amount of sugar. It just seems a lot. Seems definitely jam territory. Well, I'll keep stirring this until all that sugar is dissolved. Okay, everything's melted. All the sugar has been dissolved. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into a lower temperature, a lower flame, and let it simmer for 5 minutes. Now if I just get the spoon out, you can see that that looks very nice coloured, and it's still coating the brush a little bit, but it needs to reduce a little bit more. Oh, packed full of flavour and sweet. Meanwhile, I've got a couple of bits to show you. If you remember, I've got this, which is a couple of bits of lemon soaking in water with a dash of the enzyme to see what it does with the pith. So let's strain it off and see what happens. And already the pith is just coming off as I touch it. So I just take a knife. You can see all that pith has now come off and left with just the zest. And that pith has just went to mush, and it's just given us nice clean zests. If you remember right at the beginning, this was just a solid mass. Now if I turn it and I turn it, you should be able to see that it's liquid. So I'll get myself a little glass. I'm not pouring it all out, I'm going to use it up as a drink. But I'll pour myself a little glass, and I can pour this. Still a little bit lumpy. That's because it, yeah, as you can see, but it's a lot more liquid than it was. Now if I leave that, it'll still work on those lumps, and it will end up being smoother. Now this should hopefully end up not with the lumps in, because if we've destroyed the pectin early on, it won't have the chance to form those lumps and basically create a ball that the enzyme is going to work through. So this is simmering, and after it's simmered, all I need to do is put it into some sterilised bottles, and that's it. I'll just fill this up and have a glass. There you go, my own